I should call you Madam Chairman. You're Chairman of the
Joint Economic Committee. Thank you.
That's an important role today.
Thank you, and especially at these times, it's very challenging.
I can imagine. One of the things, though, that you're championing is a credit card bill now to protect the consumers in some way.
Well, that's true. We've done a great deal to help the banks and the financial service industry, and they deserve help, but we need to do something to help Main Street, to help the consumer. And I have authored a credit card bill of rights that cracks down on some of the most abusive practices of the credit card industry, such as any time, any reason rate increases, such as raising the interest rate retroactively on the balance, the double cycle billing, charging interest rate on a balance that's already been paid. There have been such outrageous abuses that the Federal Reserve Board came out with a study and called them abusive practices, unfair, deceptive, and anti-competitive. That is pretty strong. They came out with a proposed rule change, and over 56,000 Americans wrote in support of the changes, more than ever before. And I must tell you, Lester, it's hard to go walk on the street or go to the floor of Congress without hearing a credit card story of some type of abuse that people feel was unfair and exploited them.
But aren't they regulated in some way now?
My bill that passed in the last Congress, it passed with 312 votes, a very heavy, strong vote. It was the first reform bill in the credit card industry ever to pass Congress. There are no... How free can it be if you can raise a rate anytime, any reason, retroactively on one's balance? That is really what is in the very fine type. And people call my office and they say to me, oh, my rate increase went up to 26%, and I called the bank and they couldn't even tell me why. They said they didn't have to tell me why, because they can raise rates anytime, any reason.
Do they have any? Does the consumer have any redress now at all?
Well, oftentimes if you call the bank and complain, you can maybe talk them out of it, but many can't. It takes a very persuasive person to make those changes. I've talked to some constituents who say it's so unfair. I called them up, I pointed it out, I wrote letters, and I got them to reverse my interest rate. But for many people, they are not able to. And then they also will raise a rate for totally unrelated reasons. I had a constituent who said that she was 1 day late on her utility bill, and her credit card company used that as an excuse to raise her rate, to double her rate. That's not fair, it's abusive, it's anti-competitive, and it needs to stop.
Well, some people say that it might, your bill might raise rates or raise costs.
Well, there have been several studies that said that's absolutely not true. And what's happening now, they're raising rates now. They're raising rates now. My bill is being put in place to stop unfair and abusive rate increases that are not related to any reality. If you don't pay your bill, then of course they can raise your rate. You've become a risk. But under my bill, you would have 45 days to pay off your credit card and go to another credit card company. But under the existing system, what is so unfair is that they will raise the interest rates and then make it retroactive. Then oftentimes your interest rate payment is so high you never even get to the principal. And I've met many consumers that they bought a car or they bought something and they thought the rate would be a certain amount, and then the rate was raised and they can't get down to pay the principal.
Well, getting to the point of paying the principal, as the chairlady now of the Joint Economic Committee, you sit in a kind of a catbird position on the economy. Really, where are we going now?
Well, I think we've taken a number of steps to get us back on track. We do know that we face a financial crisis of extreme proportions. Last month, the unemployment numbers were 600,000, and it's 2.3 million people have lost their jobs since the recession began in December, and it's escalating. The numbers will come out again this Friday. But first of all, to stabilize our economy, we have passed the Economic Recovery Plan to help keep our economy growing and save or create 3.5 million jobs. We cannot continue this downward escalation of job loss will go into deflation. So the economic stimulus or recovery package was an important tool. We have also come out with the relief to our financial institutions to help rebuild their capital so that they are there to provide services to the public. Secretary Geithner has come out with his reform package. He is working on the specifics. And before Congress this week, we have a housing reform bill to help keep people in their homes and to...
Well, this is great that we're doing this program right while Congress is in session.
And they're calling me to a vote right now, but I'd rather talk to you right now. But we're taking a number of steps, and many economists have said that the most important thing we can do is stabilize housing. If we don't stabilize the housing costs and prices, then we won't dig our way out of this recession. So
are you bullish or pessimistic on the economy?
Well, I would say that under Mr. Greenspan, he talked about irrational exuberance, and I think that we now have a little bit of irrational despair. I believe that the American people, working with their government and the private sector, will dig our way out of this, and we will get our jobs going, our economy going. We'll continue investing in research and development and coming up with new innovative ideas to help healthcare, education, technology, and move this country forward in the 21st century.
Well, with your leadership...
In my position, I always have to be optimistic. You're a former congressman. You know what it's like. There are many obstacles. You have to be positive, or you don't get anything done. You know that, Lester.
That's true. The big point, as I see it, is the fact that much of these so-called toxic mortgages and things of that sort, toxic loans, if you look at mortgages 30 years out, those rates or the price of the home that has been mortgaged will obviously achieve that 30 years out. So why are they really called toxic mortgages?
Well, part of the problem is that they got into not 30-year mortgages. They were into short-term mortgages, 3 years, 4 years.
So they could flip them.
And then they would flip them. And unlike when you bought your home and I bought mine, we went to the bank, we had a mortgage, it's with the bank. In many cases it was with a mortgage broker who got a fee and then securitized it and then sliced and diced it and securitized it again and sold it off. And right now people can't figure out who owns what where. Yeah. And so the whole system got out of whack. One of the first rules that the Chairman Bernanke put in place was that you don't give a loan to someone who can't repay it. The joke in New York was, I can't pay my rent, I'll go out and buy a home. They were handing out loans and then selling it on the secondary market and gaining a fee, and no one was responsible for the final product. So the system became abused. We have changed that system. We have put in controls and oversight and reviews, and in the bill that is before Congress this week, we have built in a bill that will allow servicers to have a safe haven so that they can renegotiate these loans into long-term 30-year loans, as you described, and new powers to the FHA and the Hope for Homeowners program to help refinance and help people stay in their homes, and allowing bankruptcy judges, when the value is not there in the home, to renegotiate. That's not good for the lender either if the value is not there, and no one wins when there's a foreclosure. Not only does everyone lose, including the homeowner, the financial services institution, the neighborhood that brings down the prices in the neighborhood, no one wins. So they will be renegotiating and refinancing these loans from the short-term teaser rates into long-term 30-year, 40-year loans that are spread out so people can afford them and they can stay in their homes. We have to put a floor on housing prices. Practically every economist has said we have to do that. That's what's before Congress today. It's another step that we are taking forward to heal our economy, turn this around, and get our jobs, employment, housing moving forward in a positive way.